Well, it's martini time again. Welcome. I just started this and it said the connection is not strong enough, and it says, oh damn, But then I redid it and restarted the live, and it connected. So we can go ahead and we'll start. And I love this. I talked to this before, but this little frog. There's a poem that I've repeated that explains the creative urge. And the line is, a bodiless child full of life in the gloom, crying with a frog voice, what shall I be? What shall I be? And so we're going to talk about Vertigo again. I know, third night. But it keeps giving, it keeps giving. And so to me, a movie like Vertigo, which is so potent with metaphor and layers of meaning, is like the frog voice crying in the gloom. What shall I be? What insight shall I be today, you see? So we're going to move into this a little bit more. And of course today the news was all about the Senate investigation with the FBI and the NSA, and the fact that there is an ongoing investigation of the Russian messing with our election and the collusion of the Trump campaign with the Russian invasion. So that was pretty powerful. So I posted on my website, on my Facebook, what's the connection between Trump and Vertigo? And if you remember the movie, I think most people have probably seen it, and you have to, I really check you to go back out and look at it again. But there are some images that stick with you. You can just Google it up. Google Images Vertigo movie, and you see all the images from it. And the opening image was, of course, Stewart hanging by a gutter over an abyss, or it was, big drop, and that's where his vertigo. And so this, what we're uncovering here as we pull back the onion skins, is that this vertigo is a fear of a vortex. And the movie's full of vortexes. I even discovered tonight when I was Googling up some images that the hair that the bun in Kim Novak's hair was a vortex. A vortex is that little, like that. It's looking down a drain hole, like that, So even that was in her hair, you see. So this movie is a mystery, but it's also about the vortex in our own consciousness, in our own national consciousness. A vortex is a sucking drain that will pull, it's a whirlpool, like in Pirates of the Caribbean. It pulls you down into a black hole. And this is the fear of our consciousness, because it's a metaphor for death. Death is sucking us down into a black hole. So we're always creating permanent fixtures that we can hold on to prevent the vortex from activating, because this vortex is always just beneath the skin of reality. At any moment you can step in one. Somebody can die that you depend on. You can lose your money, lose your job, lose your health. Any loss can trigger the vortex. And so now we're clinging to the last gutters of our reality, you see, trying to keep from falling into the vortex. So this is an ever-present condition of our consciousness, national and individual. Now I was thinking today that the national consciousness, let me speak louder because some people have been complaining they couldn't hear, is that what are the very things that we depend on in our national consciousness to keep from falling into a vortex? Well, one of them is the president, and the other one I thought was, it used to be, not now, but it used to be one of the three TV anchors in the evening. Huntley Brinkley, Cronkite, or Peter Jennings. These were the anchors that you could depend upon to explain reality to you. Now that's gone today. And the president was always the anchor that you could depend upon to explain reality to you. Well, that's under attack. So both of these anchors are under attack, you see. So this is, if you ever lift up a rock in the garden and discover an anthill, immediately the ants, chaos comes in. The ants were in order, every ant knew what to do. You lift the rock up and they all go all over. That's the vortex. But the ants quickly reorder themselves and find another home. Where did they all go? They all got in sync together and found another home. So our current condition today is kind of like the rock being lifted up and revealing that there is nothing to hold on to that we traditionally depended upon to hold on to. And so this investigation today was just another attack on our traditional anchor of the presidency as being the one thing that we could hold on to. See, this was challenged for when Kennedy's assassination. That was like a 9/11, because, oh my God, the president can't be shot. The president holds us together. I am the president. The president is me, you see. The president is America. Like it politically, like him or not, the president was still the tent pole that holds up the American tent. So that was chopped down with the assassination. And then Nixon came along and did a hatchet job on it. So this anchor, this traditional anchor of the American tent pole, has been repeatedly chopped down, and now it's being chopped on again, you see. And then in addition to that, you have the attack by the president on journalism, and that there's and it's not just by the president, it's basically the whole internet is an attack on the traditional anchor news in the evening. We watch the evening news now for the sweet stories, the soft news, like on CBS this morning. You know, all of the hard-hitting news is on cable news. You see, so and that's all over the place. That's kind of news got fragmented, where it used to be one. You know, it used to be a trinity. Now it's all over the place. You see, so that again is a destabilizing to the American psyche. So our American psyche is under attack, not from without, but from within, from the conditions that we've created ourselves, you see. So in a sense, we're in Vertigo. Vertigo is a movie about the deception of appearances and that you can't hold on to anything. See, so basically there was the physical fear of Stuart, of vertigo, of falling, and so that really shared or projected the psychological fear, the terror that he had, you see. And then there was the illusion of the Kim Novak that he thought was real, and she drew him in, and then she died, couldn't hold on to that, you see. So that was another attack of, then he went into a depression, into almost psychosis, and then he came out, and then he began to, it was like the ants began to restore order. He began to restore order to this fragmented world, you see, more or less as a detective. And as you recall, she wore the same necklace and connected the two realities to one, and that was the snap, that was the satori, that was the snap that brought the realities, all the fragments back together, boom, you see. And then he concluded the search for reality and sanity by returning to the scene of the death of reality, the woman, you know, Kim, when she, the fake death, you see. So he went back to the scene of the fake death, and went through the vertigo. He went through his own fear of death and restored reality and restored sanity, you see. So this is like a formula for our own national consciousness and for our own consciousness. And this is what I mean by metaphors. So a movie is a metaphor that reflects me, that reflects my mind, my consciousness, your consciousness. But it's like a treasure map. It's like Indiana Jones. You have to read the code, just like Stewart. You have to follow the clues. You're a detective. You have to put the pieces together in order to get the snap. Well, it all comes together. And with a movie, it's a great thing because there are so many good movies. There's so many levels to it, so you can't really stop inquiry into a movie metaphor. You can't just, it was entertaining and let it go. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's so much more if the movie's good, if the movie is deep. And Alfred Hitchcock movies, always, I call it the Hitchcock shock. There is an actual shock in it that like wakes you up. That's what a shock does, is boom, wake up, you see. So we're always chasing illusions. We're always believing in appearances. And there's always the clues that things are not quite what they seem to be. And of course this breeds conspiracy theories. And we're awash in conspiracy theories now, because a conspiracy theory is an attempt to stabilize reality. You see, if you feel the vertigo, you got to stabilize it. Well, if reality is not stabilizing, then you got to invent a theory that will stabilize reality. So conspiracy theories are a product of vertigo, the fear of losing sanity, of losing reality, of losing common sense, of losing the anchor, you see. But ironically, this is a spiritual path. If you go into a spiritual path, like yoga or Buddhism or Zen or non-dual or mindfulness or whatever the tradition is, or therapy, which is pretty much the same thing, except with a lower end, but even therapy is going to pull the rug out from what you are holding on to. So a spiritual path is induced psychosis or induced schizophrenia induced vertigo. The master, the teacher, the teaching will create the feeling of vertigo. In Zen, it's called the great doubt. The great doubt. You can't. It's a white hot ball. You can't swallow and you can't throw it up. So the whole point of Zen is to induce that vertigo, so you evolve through the fear of death and through the fear of losing reality, which is all appearances anyway, all of your dependencies, all of your false anchors, your false idols, all of your systems that you depend upon, you see. In times of change, that's all impermanent. And we're in that time of change. So in a way, this is really it's a spiritual path of America to rediscover its identity and its one vision, its one America, instead of the fragmented 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 Americas, that we're in now. So there really is, from my view, from my Zen perspective, I see this with a wide angle, and somebody's at the door. So we'll let that be tonight, and I'll see you in the morning at Buddha's in Your Landfill, and we'll be looking at Avatar some more tomorrow. So thank you for being here.